So let's pick it up really quick because we only got a few minutes, and I want to make sure that everyone gets a chance to know who you guys are. Give me a quick 30-second overview of your company, who it is, and what you guys do. We'll start with Ron. Go ahead, brother.
So my name is Ron, and I am with Catch. What we do is we are here to reimagine the camera. We started Catch out of a very basic assumption. What happens if the camera never existed before and we have to redesign it all over again? And we asked ourselves, how does it work? How is it used? And we came up with a wearable device that is inherently different than cameras before it.
Okay. Very good. So we're with a generation slightly before. This is the contour camera. If you haven't seen one before, this is me filming you guys, which is very exciting. So this camera's actually been around for 10 years, and it's developed more and more, and it's obviously a competitor to GoPro. It's a rugged, but incredibly simple and easy to use camera, and we're excited about taking this camera to the next level. My name's James Harrison, by the way.
My name is Remi El-Ouazzane. I'm the CEO of Movidius. We are a chip company. We're doing vision processors to equip what we believe will be the third revolution in imaging. After film-based imaging and digital imaging will come the time of computational imaging and visual awareness. You may have heard about the company. We are the one equipping a project from Google called Google Tango.
So putting this panel together is really interesting. So we have somebody that does action cameras, right? We have somebody that actually creates the technology to create a really interesting idea around context of the actual video that's being created and generated, and then we have somebody that's created a picture taking application that actually allows for people to understand and be intimate with the pictures that they have all the time. So it's one of these things where I like to pull several people together, all in kind of the same space, and let's get down to business. What is it that these consumers really want, and how do we interact with them and create an experience that creates? We talk about sharing is wearing. It's kind of this thing. And so what do you guys see from the end users as far as this identity with our pictures? Because we are becoming more and more of a visual creature, right? We love to broadcast. We love to broadcast who we are and where we are. What are some of the trends that you guys are seeing from individuals? And let me understand where you see this going in the near-term future.
I think that before we even look at the world of wearable cameras, it's useful to understand what happened with the camera business and how people use cameras over the past decade. So technology cycles became shorter. We are now at a 7-year cycle. And if you consider the iPhone introduction, so we are at the bridge of the new and next technology cycle. I think that cameras has been traditionally used as a documentation device, so we captured reality forever, so we can go back and remember it. And the introduction of the iPhone and the increased quality of the smartphone cameras have driven the use case to a new unexplored territory, where pictures are used as a communication platform. So we want to show someone what we are doing now, and as soon as that person saw, the picture is not relevant anymore. And there is a new picture coming in. So volume is changing the way cameras are being used, and that has a lot of implications on how we design cameras and what they should do for us. How should the user experience look in the future?
So what we do at Contour is we've actually sort of split this up into three, and the first one is very firmly where Rom and Catch is, which is what we call the Snapchat generation, which I'm not, I'm afraid, but it is that huge amount of content, not great quality, that is consumed and deleted and is of interest to somebody for a very short period of time. On the other side of the scale is the really professional content, and we do a lot of very, very professional content. This camera is used by the military, this camera is used by the police, this camera was used when Osama bin Laden was killed. It's an extraordinary thing. It's used by professional filmmakers. So the camera is taking the technology of the future and bringing it and making it affordable for people. So that's one area. That's one of the areas we kind of call contour films, which is all about the really professional, sending this camera to the North Pole and making incredible films, sending it to the bottom of the ocean and making incredible films. And then we have the center area, which is really where we compare with GoPro. And that is, action sports and people doing incredible things and basically saying, I'm an amazing sportsman, or I'm amazing at a certain thing, and I want to be able to share that with people as easily as I possibly can. But they're still taking more time and effort to edit it and make it into something that people want to be able to watch. So it's a bit more effort than my friend at Catch. So it's still that kind of area. So in that area, why we feel we are very, very successful and why people want to use it is it's just incredibly simple to use. Anybody's used a GoPro, you have to turn it on and it takes a lot. And here, I've just turned on the contour and it's now filming. So it's about understanding these different verticals and understanding where you fit. I hope that helps.
That's good. A lot of what you guys are going to do is you guys are going to pull this contextual understanding out of this. And so inevitably you guys are going to end up working with all these different folks to pull this out. And as we see consumer behavior, right, go from text communication into video, and you see the emergence of Vine and the Instagram video and Facebook. Everybody's doing video now. Like you guys are really going to pull the context out of that. What are the business backing? Is anybody that's going to build a video or a camera or anything in the future is going to have to use some layer of contextual understanding in order to monetize it, I think, long term. And I think so just creating a one-time monetized platform is those days are over with us. How do you see this contextual monetization, emerging over the next few years from these guys?
Like you said, we have the chance to enable multiple platforms in that field. I'll answer your question of Reg in just a minute, but just to go and calibrate the audience on human vision, which is essentially what is required for contextual awareness. Human vision does consume 50% of your cortex when in motion, meaning right now. 50% of your cortex is being used for visual aspects. To contrast it, it will be roughly, I would say, less than 10%, 10%-ish for audio, and it's less than 5% for touch. So you can see that it's a very big an element of our everyday cortex usage. To answer Rach's question about the monetization of contextual awareness, we believe that you will see moving forward, I think there is a trend about enabling wearables to not necessarily capture pixel as much as capture metadata, and metadata about the scene. And it can be, for many applications, an application giving you SLAM, which stands for simultaneous localization and mapping, and essentially allowing you to navigate yourself in a GPS-denied area. It can be a mall. But it can be also actually for other practices for visually impaired people, where they will essentially get notification if they are going to cross a street and the light is actually not red but green. Or essentially giving you augmented reality on your smartphone if actually you recognize elements within the scene that you're evolving into that matters to you. So the element of monetization when you extract that metadata are multiple, in the sense that a Yelp can make a lot of sense when people are known to be in a specific location in terms of what they can push to you. It is of extreme importance for Google in the context of crowdsourcing GPS-denied area, because now if someone can know exactly where you are in the Great Mall of America, it's extremely monetizable in the context of what they can push to you. The question could be, well, that's all fine and dandy, but why it has never happened? And I think this is where James and Rom are fighting every day. Those devices you may have recognized are mobile in nature. So it's all about trying to put what consumes 50% of your cortex, which in equivalent is equal to 30 watts, to put that back into something which will be costing tens of milliwatts, and when they are both generous, hundreds of milliwatts. So it's a massive technological challenge that we are trying to fix ourselves to enable those gentlemen to do marvels with the end products.
And maybe fortunately or unfortunately for us, if you look at the technological complexity of building a wearable device, miniaturization has been primarily solved. Bringing a device to market today is a significantly shorter cycle than it used to be 5 or 10 years ago, probably even 2 years ago. And at the same time, the challenge that we are facing is dramatically more complex than fitness devices or other devices. Capturing a camera, analyzing the image, delivering it in high quality, and doing that quickly still is a very complex task. And guys like Remi are maybe shifting a paradigm, and we probably should have set in a little bit of a different order, right? James brought the camera from the birthday party to action activities to exciting times. We are trying to accessorize it out of the phone and make it a part of everyday life. We are looking at sharing, fun, easy. And Remi is going to take what both of us are doing today into the next level, extracting value. There has been a lot of big data conversations earlier, so edge computing, which is enabled by the next generation of chips that Remi is building, is going to make a lot of things possible that today we're talking about, we would really like to do, but are still technically difficult.
Just to level set, to let people kind of really clue into how important this is, in my mind, right, we're all going to eventually be walking around with something that is continually, just like our eyes are seeing everything, a device that's continually capturing more than just, vision, sound, locational intensive understanding, contextual understanding. Do you guys see cameras being something that we always have on, that are continually with us?
I don't know how to say that, but yesterday at midnight there have been, yesterday at midnight there have been 1 billion pictures.
We have a drag show going on. Yeah. Never mind, I said that wrong.
So every day, you guys and the people out there are uploading 1 billion pictures. 1 billion. Those are location aware. They are mostly publicly captured in public spaces. So what you're talking about is happening already today, and it's doubling year over year. We are only at the beginning of a revolution, but it's a process that is already happening. It's already underway, and it's driven by consumer behavior. Nobody designed or planned it to happen. This is the way you are using your phone, your social media, cloud, to share your life. It's just a reality.
Is it true? Is it that Facebook this last year did more pictures than humanity did, up until that point? It's something like that. Do you guys know the exact quote?
I don't know the exact quote, but I mean it's obvious that it is just growing exponentially. The amount of content that is out there is just staggering. The always on question, I think, is something that it's going to be interesting to see if there's a challenge to it in terms of privacy. How do people going to react to that idea of being constantly being filmed? We're being filmed by CCTV cameras all the time, but it's different if somebody's actually wearing it and deciding that they're going to film. I was actually seeing there was an advert on Univision the other day. I was watching England's soccer match. I say soccer now, so that's pretty good. But they had pen cameras. So you put your pen in your lapel here, and then you could, and being very Latin, it was all about whether you could catch your wife with somebody else, basically. So you could put the pen in her lapel and see where she goes. That was where it was all about. But anyway, the point being that there is going to be, we've given away a ton of our privacy and data over an incredibly short time. What's going to happen with video? What are people really going to feel about the fact that everybody is constantly filming each other the whole time? I don't know the answer. We've got to be very aware of it, though.
Yeah, Remi, you guys have raised a significant round of capital, I guess. Probably can't talk about tons of it, but in order to like solve for the contextual understanding of these pieces, right, and kind of bringing them all together. I mean, it's no small challenge. When do you see like a contextual understanding of the data in something like a contour camera or in a catch or in the Mimoto, or I think is their old name, I can't remember the new one. When do you see like something like this actually becoming tangible and real on the market, where you can actually extract human convenience out of this as a medium?
I think it's in the next 24 months, and the reason why I'm saying that is because a bulk of enabling such use cases for contextual extraction out of the scene often depends on optics and sensor topologies. And those optics and sensor topology are getting to a range coupled with processing where what we call multi-aperture camera, which is essentially made of multiple smaller cameras, or emergence of IR, infrared, at a very low power consumption, are becoming real now. And so the ingredients technology, meaning company like us, company like Sensors, or the optics manufacturers, are getting to a point where the basics are now in shape for people to extract that information. And I think that what we did with Google in the context of Tango was illustrated through a smartphone. I can't speak on their behalf, but I would not be surprised that they have a much wider view of what this technology can enable. And I, independently of them, I do believe, based on what we're seeing, that the next 2 years we'll see a dramatic increase on how visually aware those cameras become.
Real quick, so you're really, to bring it back, you're real familiar with like Shazam and how they do video or audio. Like, do you see yourself as almost like a video version in some regards of a Shazam? Is that my way of oversimplifying it? Because it is complex what you guys do.
I'm an engineer, so I'll speak in engineer words.
Yeah.
Asymptotically, this is where we like to be, to be that vertically integrated. But just to put things in the context of the audience, our next generation processors, which will be announced soon enough, I hope, did cost us north of $25 million to develop. So we're talking about massive R&D investment to make this vision a reality. No pun intended on the vision. But we are working on creating way more than the processor. We are trying to develop exactly what you're saying, Rach, which is reference applications in the context of visual awareness. But it's we first have to cover our basis, which is to develop great processors for our customers.
An American would have said, absolutely. Yeah, the Europeans don't bullshit as much as we do. So I think that this is really important as we kind of move forward into this next step of evolution from the camera world, where we're this always on, always connected, always broadcasting entities, right? So, and I think it's really important that we don't have some kind of weird Doppler effect where we're just constantly boop, 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 popping stuff out. And how do we sort through that as, you know, as human beings to figure out what the most relevant pieces of our day, you know, right? I mean, there are times when I don't necessarily want to be, you know, photographing myself, maybe. And so, you know, when that's there, I mean, how do you guys, you know, how do we figure that stuff out? And what are you guys seeing like us evolving towards?
I think that as geeks, we really love to play with the realm of possibility.
Yeah.
What technology can do and where it can go, and see an endless set of possibilities. What our consumers teach us is that it is the experience that drives the way we use technology. And what stands behind an experience is simple human nature and where we are as a society and how we behave and how we react. And in that sense, I guess I'm saying that I don't necessarily agree that we'll become a continuously sensing, capturing, broadcasting entities. I think that we're smarter than that, and I think that we integrate technology into our life, not our life into what technology can do. To be perfectly honest, I think that we're taking more pictures today than we used to before, because smartphones allow us to do that, but not dramatically more. We are not broadcasting entities using our smartphones. I don't think we will become such using wearable cameras like Catch, even though maybe technically you could. And I want to remind us all, and that's a very technical element of reality. I was talking to Remi backstage, and we were discussing features and capabilities of Movidius' new chip platform. And I told him there is one determining factor that is more important than anything else: battery life. We want our mobile devices to be small, and we want the battery to last forever. And unfortunately, that's an oxymoron. It's impossible. We can't broadcast all the time, and battery technology, and at least from where we stand now, is not going to shift the paradigm. It is what it is.
But that's also because of the connectivity. So the battery life is affected not just by the fact that it's always on, but if it's always connected to try and download something to be able to share it. So you can have an unconnected camera that is able to record for an awful lot longer. That's the point.
Well, yeah, I mean, I think that one of the biggest scavengers of battery life is network connectivity. Be it, I love it's like, low powered Bluetooth. Like, that's like, you want to talk about oxymorons. Not that it's not better, but it still drains our systems. And so I think battery life is definitely one of the bigger issues. I think network connectivity is one of the bigger issues. But I heard this before with the iPhone, and part of the reason why your iPhones always dies, guys, is because they're so engaging. And we're just constantly. I probably touch my iPhone like, I don't know, 1,000 times, 5,000 times a day. I mean, how many times you just do this to get your email? Oh man, I must have missed something. I just looked at my email 30 seconds ago. So I think that as we move forward, I think battery is something that we will kind of evolve and kind of manage. Some of the things that I'm really kind of curious to know is how, James, especially because you guys have a pretty large user base, how are you seeing people evolving in their use of Contour, and what are some of the things that you want to foster because you find them really engaging around your brand and around your technology?
So the trend that we see is that obviously we were born out of action sports, and so most people are using it for that kind of activity, and that's something that we know that they're going to promote. So one of the things that we've been working very hard on is to look at all of the data that is associated with action sports and even living, and that's one of the main reasons that we wanted to come here and support Wearable World, because we want to be able to help not only create visual records of what somebody's done, but this camera also has GPS in it. Now, GPS gives you a whole lot of information, which is fantastic, but what about all of the other monitors that we can see that people are building and the association with the watch? And we want the Contour to be right in the center of that wearable technology world, and so that you'd be able to mash up all of the different data from your heart rate monitor or from your brainwave monitor or from your wattage on your bicycle and visualize that whole thing within a platform, which makes that video a more compelling thing simply for somebody to be able to consume. So that gets around some of the things. You've got to remember that we're still in a situation where people actually go out to video something as opposed to having it always on. But something to consume, something that is more interesting to share. But also then this starts getting into your area, because we're suddenly getting a ton more data about what people are doing, all linked up into a sort of central hub around their video. And I think that's something that I've been listening and talking to a lot of people out there here during the last couple of days to learn more about that. I think that's a really fascinating part of what we're doing.
And I think that in that sense, maybe small data instead of big data. We're talking about qualified self, we're talking about sensors, but the person as a system You wear a bracelet on your arm, you have a GPS on your phone, you might wear a camera, you might have other sensors that interact with your life, bringing all this data together. And a small factor at the edge becomes very, very relevant, and maybe this is the next phase. How can we use contextual data analyzed by Remi's chip with fitness data, with posture data, and bring it all together to actionable information that you actually care about?
Humanity is a curious creature. You know, I don't know how else to emphasize it. I think it's fascinating that of the entire animal kingdom that we have on this planet, we're the only ones that actually give a shit about, like, what's our heart rate right now? And, you know, maybe it's taking pictures and maybe it's some form of intelligence. But I wonder, like, one, is it a geek thing that we want to have this? Because here's what I will tell you. Like, there's this unifying theme where all, you know, anybody that's doing the watches, or anybody that's doing the bands, or anybody that's doing, you know, even the cameras now, we're like, let's pull all this stuff together and really learn about who we are as an animal, right? And then, Remi, with what you're doing, it's like not just about us as an animal, but like, how are we in this certain type of environment? So there's this drive towards this random amount of self-actualization that we have. So it's more than just, you know, and I will say, like, the visual aspect gives this record of what is around us that I think is absolutely fascinating. But until, like, platforms like Remi's, you know, really starts to kind of push that envelope and pull it all together, you know, it's just a flat file that we don't know anything else about. Right?
So Rich, the key thing for us is that the trigger is in our world is showing off. Okay, it's really simple. I jumped higher. I did faster. I fell further. Whatever I did. Okay, and I want to not only now be able to show the video, but I want to actually have data alongside it which says what a ridiculously cool or stupid thing I just did, and that's the trigger. And so we don't forget that. And you know, some of the things that we're doing with Michael, I think, who's down there from Dash, where, you know, the key things that they're able to provide us with are amazing gauges you can put on top of the video to be able to show and visualize as you're driving your car all of the different measurements that are out there. So that's our first thing, okay, showing off. Second thing then is performance, because then it's actually, okay, if you can do all this and it's that accurate, then people are then interested in saying, okay, so you were driving your car in this particular way, and this is the actual data that you got. Okay, so you got showing off, and then you got performance. Now, the more people who do all that, then it starts becoming interesting to start pooling all that kind of stuff. But don't forget what the trigger is. Because if you don't have the trigger, you'd never get enough data, and it will be small data forever.
There is another dimension to it that has nothing to do with us as individuals, has everything to do with us as a group. We are highly motivated. We are almost biologically programmed to move as a herd. Our ability to communicate with each other is at the core of, think about it, virtually everything that happened in technology over the past decade, the significant advances had to do with us working together, with us communicating.
Somebody gets excited. So I mean, and that's interesting, right? It's us coming to a realization that a lot of this technology is about connecting each other, about us all. And I don't even know if it's us getting on the same page, but it's maybe less about understanding other people, but more about being understood yourself.
It's a smaller world today than it was 5 years ago, definitely than it was 30 years ago.
So with all that stuff, like bringing all of us together and all putting us kind of on the same page, and, you know, Remi, I'm gonna pick on you a little bit, you know, about your tech and stuff. Like, bringing this contextual data to a point where users can understand how to interpret it. You know, are you guys providing like that dashboard? Who do you guys see the interpreters of the data? Because you guys are a platform that does this stuff. Is it the guys at Catch, the guys at Contour, the guys at GoPro? Like, who's responsibility probably not the right. Who do you see the best person would be to leverage, you know, your platform to make it like work?
People who have the, I think that the actors who have the most to gain out of our technology are people who are controlling application platforms, eventually, because all this intelligence extraction is being fed through a framework for an application to take advantage of what's being recognized. And in that context, I think that the usual players that you know of have a vested interest in the context of enable the application to see, really, to go and deploy this type of technology. So I think that our iOS will evolve, our Android will evolve, and I would say what Facebook, Microsoft, and Amazon will be doing is, for us as a small company, very important, because the more they expose those APIs based on the information we extract, the more relevant we become, because the more the install base of application that sees becomes important. So that's actually I think the most straightforward and honest answer I can give you from a pure technological standpoint.
I love it. All right, so one last question for everybody. Paint me the picture of what you see platforms like yours and your competitors. What do we become in the next year, 2 years, 3 years? What's the future look like from your perspective?
I think that probably the number one factor is that we won't make such a big fuss around it. There is the process of the introduction of anything new which creates resistance because we don't like change. Then there is the integration, and then it just becomes part of our day-to-day life and we don't think about it anymore. It's technology becoming non-technological. And I think that the introduction of wearable technologies and new devices and the integration of all of them together is going to mature to the point where it's just part of our everyday life. We are all experimenting. There are different iterations of how the future would look like, how a camera should be worn, how visual information should be interpreted. And at some point, one of us, hopefully all of us, will hit the right wave and people will adopt to the point where there is no conversation anymore. It's just normal. We don't ask ourselves, what's the technology behind a fork? We use it every day. A fork is technology. It was invented by an engineer. And that will happen to wearable cameras, and that's for at least the way I see it, is the next step of where technology is today and where it's going.
So I think that there's two aspects to it. I think that obviously we're looking at the hardware. This is still it's a good-looking camera, but it's bigger than you would imagine it's going to be in 2 years' time. So these things are going to get smaller, and they're going to get easier to wear than they are right now. But the thing that I'm really interested in is I still think that the video into the whole of the consumption of video and the sharing of video is still pretty broken. I don't think that people are necessarily getting out of what they video what they necessarily want. And I think that there is a ton of amazing technologies that are out there that are going to assist people to be able to do that. And so as the volume of video goes up, you need to still maintain that quality so that it becomes useful. Otherwise, it's just completely a waste of time. So that's the thing that I'm really interested in. Again, here I've had some great, interesting conversations about exactly that. How to make that whole ecosystem work so that video is simple, easy, effective, and a beautiful thing for people to be able to use and share. That's near future. Far future, you look at the sci-fi movies and get excited, and our job is to look at the stars and say, how do we bring that into our distribution platform, into 42 countries, which says this is now technology that's affordable for the masses. And that's exciting.
Remi.
I think in 2 years from now, where we want to be is to deliver a technology which will allow wearable cameras to be as big as a button on your shirt, and which will be essentially augmenting your daily life because a bunch of applications will be taking care of it and will bring you a lot of contextual awareness. And I think the miniaturization down to a button is not a parable. Is not. I'm not trying to be cute. I think actually I've got reason to believe that this is where it will end up being.
Thank you so much, guys. Well, guys, that's enough. I appreciate you guys' time on stage, audience. We appreciate you guys. Thank you so much.